My top 10 carnivore travel foods. Hey, with Shake and Bacon, I hope you're doing well. So as I've been saying in my last number of videos, I took the commercial out of my videos and I've been making them shorter so it's a little easier for my audience to enjoy. And as well, in return, I'd like it if you'd like, comment, or subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. It really helps offset the fact that I took the commercial out of the middle of the video. Anyway, to the topic at hand, traveling when you're doing carnivore. We're always looking for new things because, you know, sometimes we're seasoned carnivores, but we don't travel much. Sometimes we're new to carnivore and we just need some extra tips. And so what do you do when you have to leave for an afternoon or a whole day or maybe a weekend or you're going on a vacation? Well, there's different things you can do to take the burden off the carnivore experience because you want to try and stay strict carnivore. And if it's just you and your immediate family, it's not a difficult time to travel and still stick with carnivore. But I know it's a little more difficult if you're going somewhere and you're meeting a bunch of people you haven't seen in a long time and you're trying to stick to carnivore, but it's a different situation, right? That might be a different situation that you don't want to get into with them, but either way, you can always bring your own snacks. So I made a list kind of in priority of expense and ease, and they don't always line up between the two. I think more so expense was the top goal of my list. And so we're going to go into this. I made a top 10 list. My top foods to travel with are meat cookies and bacon. So meat cookies are just burger patties, ideally homemade burger patties. And you can take them, you can put them in a container, you can put them in a container with some ice, some cold packs, and that will last you days. Now, you might get a little bored of it, but don't forget, this is a nice affordable staple that you're only going to have to pay for the ground beef and the gas you used to cook it. And they're great for travel size and convenience. So you can be driving, if for those of you who are allowed to eat in certain states or countries where you're allowed to drive while you're eating, you can have something just while you're on the go, right? Cooked bacon is such a great way to go. Having cooked bacon when you're traveling, the only problem with cooked bacon is it takes up a little more volume. For me anyways, it's easy to go through. It's really easy to go through cooked bacon. The only thing that slows me down is if I have thick cut bacon because it's a little tougher to chew on after it's cooked, because I notice when I have regular bacon, I can just go and finish it really fast and chew on it, and the fat dissolves really fast, and then I'm chewing on the meat, but it's very thin meat. But when you have cooked bacon that's a thick cut bacon, you have to chew a little bit more on it, so it'll help you to last longer. If you get hungry and you decide that you want to have some bacon, and because of the salt content, it's even if you get a low sodium bacon, you still have, I don't know if you're like me, but you still want to work through them really easily and really fast. And before you know it, you can finish your whole weekend's worth of bacon in one day. And you might not want that. So thick cut bacon for me is a better way to go. Another thing you can take from home, and you can do this in your own oven most of the time, especially if you have a convection oven, is dehydrated meat. So you can get these little pouches you can put in the bags with dehydrated meat so that you can use Ziploc bags or a container, and it'll keep the moisture out. It'll absorb any of the moisture so that by the end of the day or the weekend, everything is still nice and crisp. I found in the past, traveling with, say, burger patties in the same container as dehydrated bacon of any kind or dehydrated meat, what happens is the dehydrated meat takes some of the moisture from the cooked food. Even though it's cooked and it's nice and cold and everything, it still takes some of that moisture. So I keep that stuff separated. If you don't have a dehydrator, you can look online. I suggest getting something from Facebook Marketplace. That's what I did. I saved a ton of money and got a 9-tray Excalibur. The drawback to that is it can take up a lot of volume, even more than the bacon, but it's nice because you can literally eat it like potato chips. It comes out nice and crispy. You can put it in a brine before you put it in the oven or the dehydrator to actually dehydrate it. You can put it in a brine, like a saltwater brine, for a short while at a time. It'll give it a nice, natural, even salty flavor. So you cut your meat really thin. You can sometimes get the butcher to do that for you. You might want to pound it thin, and then you just dehydrate it. The next thing is canned fish, canned meat. So the problem is it's processed lots of times, but you can get some good quality ones out there. If you can get tuna, try and stay away from ones with oil in it. Use water, bring your own fish oil if you want. If you're trying to do high fat, that'll make this go a heck of a lot longer. A little will go a long way with that when you're doing high fat. Make sure you're bringing lots of water or buying water at gas stations or grocery stores. And speaking of grocery stores, that brings us to our next one. You can always stop at a grocery store and get cooked food. You can always stop at a grocery store and get raw salmon and have sashimi, any raw fish. So it's actually a really nice thing to do. It's pretty nice. You can just cut it right there in your vehicle and eat it. It's very satisfying. It is on the leaner side, so you might want to make sure you have something to offset that. I'll cook fat in my dehydrator and bring tallow with me. And if you have ice packs in a cooler, like you might with the other suggested foods. You can keep that in there, and then you can have a bite of beef tallow, and then you can have a little bit of fish. You ideally want to keep enough fat that you're not eating too lean for the amount of time that you're gone. Once you're there, or even when you're on your way there, you can still hit grocery stores. And also another thing you can hit is restaurants. The problem with restaurants is you never know if they're cooking with seed oils, but most places, like say like a Five Guys or In-N-Out Burger, you can get burger patties, straight burger patties. You can even go to McDonald's and get burger patties. Now, I've said in other videos, I notice when I go to McDonald's, the burger patties, probably because of the histamines, maybe it's got something to do with the salt. I'm not sure if it's MSG or something, but my skin gets kind of crusty, almost like a light eczema right up here and on the rim of my nose. I don't tend to get that with Five Guys, but I definitely get that if I have McDonald's. Personally, I'm not one for Wendy's. I find their ground beef kind of disgusting. I know it's 100% ground beef, that's what they say, but it's almost like they boil it. It's not browned at all. I'm just not a fan of Wendy's. Some other people out there in YouTube land probably really enjoy it. Now, another option is jerky. You can get jerky at lots of different gas stations. You can buy it in bulk at places like Costco and Sam's Club. And the one thing you just want to watch with that is the sugar content. The thing that sucks with jerky is often there's a lot of sugar. It's processed, but it's better than nothing. It's something to tide you over, especially if you're in a pinch. And it's going to help keep you sticking to carnivore. And some of the more expensive options are carnivore crisps and carnivore bars. Now, yeah, they're more expensive, and you might think, I'm not spending the money on that. But when you're in a pinch and you're traveling, I tell you, it's nice to have something like that in your glove compartment. If you go a long stretch without being able to make a stop, you have something then and there to tide you over. Of course, when you're going to people's houses, I highly recommend always eating before you go there. If you're going to someone's house, whether it's 100 miles away or it's just next door, eat your own food before you go there, because other people who aren't carnivore will kind of think, oh, well, I'll just put this sauce in there. It's a meat dish, so they'll be satisfied with it. And I'll just put the sauce in the ingredients. And next thing you know, you started eating and you're kind of committed. Now you're like, oh man, now I got this food in front of me. I can taste there's a sauce in it, which is full of sugar. And you're trying to stay away from sugar. You don't want to be annoying to them. And you're also really hungry by this point. So avoid that by filling up before you go there. That way you can just have a modest amount of food when you're there. And if it's good carnivore food, you're set. And if it's carnivore food that you can't have, maybe you can get away with only having a couple mouthfuls or just a little bit on a plate. You can always bring your own food when you go there. You can bring your own steak. It's more common nowadays. That's an insult at my dad's house if you bring food to his place when he's serving you dinner. But lots of people, it's just the more North American way. They look at it as you're contributing to the meal and you're taking a bit of a load off the host. So you can bring your own steaks, or you can bring your own bacon. You can bring your own charcuterie board. That's something that everyone can have. So you can have a bunch before you go there. No matter what, always make sure you eat your own meal before you get there. But I highly recommend following these tips so that you can go and travel for the summer or at any time and enjoy your travels and not worry about what you're going to eat when you're trying to stick to a carnivore diet. Anyway, thanks a lot. I really appreciate watching this video.